Speaker, and I welcome the opportunity to make some further comments in relation to the legislation put forward in relation to Creative Australia Amendment Implementation of Revive Bill 2024. We know for so many artists in Australia it is incredibly difficult to make a living. And we know that we've got harder throughout the recent years with COVID, but generally we know that they are well below national average when it comes to incomes. And it is incredibly difficult, despite contributing so much to our national identity, our culture, our children in them understanding our country, our traditions, our multiculturalism. All these aspects are incredibly important, and in particular understanding and having better awareness of First Nations cultural tradition and art. So we know, for example, artists in Australia are generally unable to work full-time in creative work because the income from this work is simply not sufficient. Only 1 in 10 artists can work full-time in the arts. 2 out of 5 working artists need to meet their basic living costs by additional work. In 2022, the Productivity Commission found that the sale of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander art, including souvenirs, was worth $250 million annually, supporting thousands of jobs in remote communities and helping to draw more tourists to Australia and more awareness of those First Australians. So incredibly important to support Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities and their art in that way. So unfortunately, according to Creative Australia, there is no single source of representative data on Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander artists and their working conditions. And that's simply not good enough. And it's symptomatic on the way in which we don't take First Nations artists as seriously as we should or haven't to date. I certainly hope with this legislation that that is going to change. The bill before us will help to start to turn that around and give more support and certainty for First Nations artists. The bill, and I will support it, will create 2 new bodies within Creative Australia, a First Nations Arts and Writing Australia. First Nation Arts will have autonomy over the allocation of its funds for investment in First Nations arts. It will be guided by First Nations cultural protocols and principles to support and invest in a diverse range of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander arts practice and provide financial assistance, whether by way of loan, grant, investment, award or otherwise as it sees fit, and whether on commercial terms or otherwise. And separately, Writing Australia will support and promote the Australian literature sector, including the development of markets and audiences. We know the importance of stories, and too often when we speak of the arts, I guess the literature sector has been overlooked, the writers have been left to really fend for themselves. And so it is welcome, this amendment to create Writing Australia. We know we have a lot of work to do to better support the arts in Australia, particularly First Nations artists. We're already starting to see some good outcomes from investment in Australia's creative sector. Of course, we need to remember within the arts, the philanthropic sector, philanthropy has always been a huge contributor to the arts. And I very much thank all those that are in a position to, through philanthropy, assist in that development and that continuation. I know there are many within my community in Warringah that invest in that way, invest into the future, into that cultural aspect and the storytelling. Creative Australia is already making its mark in supporting First Nations artists. We know 23 artists, including Emma Donovan, Dan Sultan, Jangaji, Biddy Knox, Lucas Proudfoot and Selv, are already set to receive contemporary music touring grants. It's been encouraging to see the government's focus on genuine community input through the First Nations First National Consultations. It's a sort of genuine engagement with community that my community in Warringah want to see with First Nations people around Australia. In Warringah, my constituents showed one of the strongest levels of support for the Voice referendum in the country and for the recognition of First Nations people, First Australians in our constitution. And I strongly believe in Indigenous people's self-determination and opportunity to have a much stronger representation. It's positive that there appears to be a genuine effort by the government in its commitment to listen, to take on feedback and provide First Nations peoples with opportunity to be active participants in decision-making within First Nations art. Increased participation in the arts will also provide employment opportunities for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander artists, which will allow strong economic participation and development of First Nations artists in their communities. I should note, though, and I am concerned that it cannot be overlooked, the multicultural aspect of Australia. And so when I think of Writing Australia, for example, to make sure that it has in its mind's eye when it's applying and looking at supporting artists and writers, to make sure we do so with awareness of our multicultural nature in Australia. There are many stories to tell, there are many backgrounds, many cultures, and we must make sure that we actually reflect that through that funding of so many bodies, that we reflect the true nature of our communities, which is an incredibly successful multicultural nation. And so I hope that through all these bodies, as there is rightly a focus on that First Nations arts piece, we must make sure that all other funding and bodies keep an eye and make sure they have that principle of that multicultural aspect as well, and that be recognised. So to finish off, this bill represents essential steps towards revitalising an industry consistently undermined by budget cuts in previous years. Too often people think the arts is something that's a nice to have, not a must have. But in fact, when we look back and we think of what it is to be Australian, what is our national identity, what's our culture, it is so often contributed by the arts. So as many in Warringah and around Australia I know, we are incredibly proud of Australian artists and what they do, how they represent Australia on the international scene, how they tell our stories through all the different mediums, and I commend this bill to the House.